Hey friends, I'm Justin Walker. I'm the owner of Blind Tiger Tattoo Co. here in Greenville, South Carolina. I've been tattooing for close to 13 years now, starting a YouTube channel. I've always wanted to make content. When I was young, it was just making videos with your friends. Then we would post them for our youth group at church. This video is just me introducing myself and what I'm about, why Blind Tiger Tattoo Co. exists, and a little bit of just about my recent journey and story. I wanted a place where I could have like a structured format to share my thoughts and to share what I'm working on, to share this journey that I'm on. I hope you enjoy it. Started Blind Tiger Tattoo Co. 3 years after I had left my dad's. I learned from my father. I worked with him for 7 years from 2013 to 2020. After quarantine, we had a bit of a falling out over some disagreements. Path I chose in tattooing looks a lot different than my dad's. There was just always kind of conflicts of interest, when it came to our approach to tattooing, but what we also loved in tattooing, which is hard. It was challenging, but wasn't really quite sure what I was going to do. I had met a tattooer around this time. He actually came on board to work with my dad and I, and we kind of hit it off and we became good friends. And he was like, "Hey, I'm gonna, try to open the shop up in Greenville. I don't know what you're doing, but I would really love for you to join if you're interested." I wanted to work in an environment where I was constantly inspired and we were all kind of like vibing on the same thing. So I was like, yeah, let's do it. Well, long story short, he moved back to Georgia. He had an opportunity to open a shop down there that made more sense for him. But I was kind of stuck because I didn't really want to own a shop. I didn't know what I wanted to do. It was like, all right, well, fuck, here I am, fat and scared. Like, I don't know what to do. Am I gonna, move back to California where I'm from? I liked the idea of moving back to California, but there was also just so much that I left that I didn't want to experience again. It would have been really hard for someone like me to make their way in tattooing over there. It was a whole different world just because of how competitive it was. And if you didn't do everything, you didn't eat. Tattooing was still like really great despite all of it. But yeah, I didn't want to go through all of that. I wanted to succeed. I have 2 daughters. I have a wife. I have a family. Like, I'm not really interested in uprooting them. Didn't know what I was going to do. My wife sent me an ad for a studio space that was going to become available, and I put my application in. I got approved. I put my deposit down in January of 2021. Was told it was going to be completed in September of 21. So I was like, cool, I'll spend like 9 months getting ready. And, we got to get it legalized in the city because there was some red tape we had to cross and some blue laws regarding church measurements that were going to cause us some issues. So we'll just deal with all of that. June of 2022 rolls around and they're finally about a quarter of the way through construction after more delays. I was just like too stubborn to ask for my money back. I kept being told like it wasn't gonna happen, it wasn't gonna be done, no one's done it before. Yeah, I just wanted to be the guy. At the end of the day, I think at that time I was so ego driven. I was like, I have to see this through. You fucking told me no. I want to see it happen because you told me it couldn't. I think that's where, like, if you have a little bit of a rebellious spirit, it kind of serves you in business, in my experience. I don't like that version of me because that's when I kind of either like self sabotage or I tolerate a little too much. Or in this case, I don't ask for my deposit back. It's like my life savings just, on layaway right now. But it worked out because in South Carolina, you have to be 1,000 feet from a church, school, or playground to operate a tattoo facility. And there was a nonprofit under 1,000 feet. I did my due diligence. So I won my case. We're just like, okay, now we're just waiting on the building to be completed. I got really tired of tattooing in the shadows. I didn't really like, having to look over my shoulder all the time. So things had kind of calmed down between my father and I. So I was like, hey, just for the time being, can Brett, who I was teaching at this time, my buddy, Could we come work there just until this building's done? Yeah, of course, come hang out. October rolls around, and then I wake up one morning and I get a call that the building burned down. And I literally, like, I'm smiling because I was smiling at it too. I was just like, yeah, of course. Like, why wouldn't it burn down? Why would not something terribly wrong happen? So funny how all of this has been such a cliche. But you know what? I think I needed it. I needed that character development. I needed to learn some lessons that I did. So I'm grateful for that. I wouldn't have it any other way. In fact, I remember times. Light died. I had to fix it. Anyways, I remember times where I was like, man, I don't know if I'm suffering enough. Like, it's a weird. It was a weird experience. It was like, have I really like gone through enough shit to deserve this? It was a very strange self-abasive mentality I had. But yeah, had I suffered enough in order to be a shop owner? I was scared to own a shop. I don't think I realized how scared I really was until I actually got into the position. Before that, you kind of just have to be tough, and there's a difference between being tough and being brave. I was definitely pretending to be tough. I was projecting a lot. I didn't want to be found out, that I had no idea what I was doing. And really, more than anything, I just wanted to tattoo, travel around the world and learn tattooing, learn the culture, what it means to be a traditional tattooer. I didn't get that kind of an apprenticeship. My apprenticeship looked very different. As a second generation tattooer, you're born into this. And I remember for a time almost having jealousy toward peers and others that they had to work for it, and I felt very inadequate. I felt very inferior to my heroes and to my peers because, well, I just felt like daddy's boy. I just was kind of, there you go, son. My dad was decent to me in comparison to the horror stories I heard. He was tough on me, but I mean, I've heard people having to get fucking treated like they're getting enlisted into a gang or something. My apprenticeship was very conflicting because I was held back from a lot of things that would have given me a lot of traditional roots, I think. And then I was treated in ways that did feel a little special, but not better or worse. It was just different. I met Jay Chastain in 2015 and I fell in love with tattooing all over again. Because he showed me a side of it that I wasn't exposed to, what I was handed down when it came to traditional, or it came to Americana, or it came to Japanese. It was just a different version than what the actual traditionalist would agree with. When Jay came around and he showed me historical figures and what the history and lineage of tattooing looked like he really got me to this place with tattoo where I was like, everything was brand new. It felt like something that resonated with my soul, my imagination, and my thrill. That was really hard for my dad. I think with any mentor apprentice relationship, you kind of get that power struggle, but it was difficult for my dad, and I understand why. I didn't grow up with my dad, and so I think that kind of created that conflict. I felt like I needed to earn my keep before I could be handed the keys. That was really apparent. But after that fire, it was like, nope, I'm definitely not giving up now. I was let go of my lease on that building in February of 23. When we tried to open up in 2 different locations, we were met with even stricter regulations. Well, what are we going to do, man? They're like cracking down on all of these things and not giving us any wiggle room. Especially that blue law. I had to basically fight for this place 3 times. I got that call from DHEC. So many conflicting emotions. I wasn't like joyful, relieved, but I was still stressed. You see the opening and you're like, I just need to fucking kicked it into high gear. We got that place upfitted and we opened up in May 2023. And you know what I realized? I was so focused on crossing the finish line, I had no game plan. And that really became apparent to me when we moved into this location we're in now, because we started in a little studio space in the building next to us. But when we moved into this location, I had bigger shoes to fill. A lot of Blind Tiger Tattoo's success was, one, because of our story. We were very fortunate to have a lot of support from the community. A lot of people wanted to see this happen, not just because they wanted a tattoo shop in Greenville, but for us specifically, which is an incredible, overwhelming feeling if you're ever in that position. I had this brilliant idea of, hey, what if I make memes to bring attention to the shop? I don't think I was anyone new at this, but there weren't a lot of people doing this. I would take a meme, I would remove the background, and then I would overlay it onto pictures or video of the shop. They started to blow up. And I never had that before. It's not your face behind it, but I mean, your shop's blowing up. So it's kind of a cool feeling. It's so fucking stupid. But I really kind of dialed into a science with them. I was like, okay, if I cut it at this time, if I do this text, 3 of them went over 1 million. The others stayed in mid-low 100,000s, but the other ones would go into the millions. One day we were sitting up in the lounge in our studio, and my phone's getting hot in my pocket. I'm like, what the fuck? And I pull it out. It was like a slot machine going off, just ding, 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 ding. All these notifications from Instagram. I was like, oh my God. Wednesday, we started out with 4,480 something followers. By Friday, we had 24,000 followers. And then we would make videos of us goofing around. We made a Creed one, and then we made a Reba McEntire. I was having fun, and then there's this weird experience where you get kind of desperate. Fuck it, give me the wig. And so you just are trying to constantly solving puzzles. I like it, but you have to keep up with it. What was my tangent about? Oh, I had no fucking idea what I was doing. That was my whole marketing strategy, my whole advertising strategy. What worked was that I figured out I could figure out something that works. I didn't have 24,000 people coming through my tattoo shop. All they were there for was entertainment. And I realized that, and I said, fuck, I'm a fucking idiot. I just spent all this energy and time thinking that this thing was really gonna work. What I'm getting at, because I had no roots. Oh, I'm on rhyme, okay? Because I had no roots, I was easily tempted by any fruit. I just made that up right now, dude. That's fucking wild. If you are not secure in yourself, anything that comes along like that, I have a foundation in my faith. That was something I was not prepared for. The church, my family, my upbringing did not prepare me for that. Integrating with society was very challenging for me. I didn't really start feeling like a contributing member until I got the shop. My dad, my mother, they were separated since I was 5, but they both didn't really give me the opportunity to figure shit out on my own. Because when I started to get out into the world, you realize it's a lot less understanding. It's not so black and white. And finding that gray area in there, that's tricky. It's very tricky. Beginning of this year, I humbled myself and I was praying. I was like, you know what, God, I really have no idea what I'm doing. And I have all this beautiful life around me. I have a wife that loves me. I have daughters that love me. I have a family to take care of. I have friends that are counting on me to keep my shit together. I'm not managing my time well. I'm late for my clients. I'm making a fool of myself online. What is going on? So I've had 2 mental breakdowns in my life. One almost cost me my life. I lost my mind so many times in there. You live in this world of what could be. Whatever's on the other side of reality, that's where I want to be. And that was where I was stuck. I couldn't reconcile reality and spirituality in a way that was healthy. It was very dysfunctional. When I started using AI, I had a research assistant give me some reading to dive into to kind of fact check or validate And oh my gosh, dude. I would say probably before 2020, I probably read maybe 1 or 2 books in my life. Actually, books in the Bible were probably the only books I had read up until that point. You know, the world's not quite what I was told. I need to learn some new things. So I worked really hard to be able to get my mind on board with embracing new ideas. I can definitely see how people would get lost in the narrative that it spins. Whatever you put into that, that's you. You can't blame a fucking mirror for what it reflects. You made me look fucking ugly. No, motherfucker, you're ugly. And I have a problem. Everyone complains about the tattoo industry the way that it is. I think that it's wasted breath. Complaining about AI's existence, complaining about iPads, complaining about, digital artwork. I think we were meant to uplift each other. And we're all collectively figuring something out. And we're trying to put pieces together. We're all trying to figure out where we came from and where we're going. My light died and I just want to finish this video. If I'm a founder, if I am an owner, I know that I have a family. I have a beautiful tattoo shop. I look at these walls and I go back to that moment when I was a kid. I was 13 years old. I was hanging at the tattoo shop with my dad. I'll be okay. Mind your business. Give me a second. I was sitting there. I think I was working on a drawing. My dad goes, "Hey, you want to do a tattoo?" I was like, "What?" You're kind of in shock. I wasn't really allowed to interact with my father. I never got to see him as much up to that point. That was one of the first moments I ever experienced my father being proud of me. And it's not because it's like his fault or that he was a bad dad. And I don't even think he knows just how much that meant to me. This temple of chaos has given me more peace. I have no problem with being a goofball, showing my true self. I don't really know what each week is going to look like. But the best things I've created have always been the things I've least expected. So I'm going to do my best to structure my life. And I don't quite know what I have to offer yet. I'm going to keep showing up, though. I want to show that God can turn misfits into masters. I started this Reformation program for myself. It was a couple months ago. And I made all these weird ass promises. I'll create my own power because I was all pissed about parking. Because we don't have parking in front of our building anymore. People have to walk like stupid far just to get tattooed. It's very frustrating. I knew that I was embarking myself on a journey of self-discovery. I had it all planned out, and I didn't follow through nearly half of it. I didn't do everything that I set out to do. It's like I realized the things about myself that other people saw, but were too afraid to tell me because they didn't want to hurt my feelings or they didn't want me to fall apart. And maybe that doesn't exist, but that thing in your head that tells you people know something about me I don't. I got closer to realizing what those insecurities were and where they came from and why I believed them for so long. And now that I'm not, if I can open up Blind Tiger Tattoo, if I could do this in my worst moments, who knows what I could do. Did some questionable stuff. I'm just excited. I'm scared. I'm fucking ready. And I'm not. And that's why I've got to just do this one step at a time. Carving your own path. My thing here is that too, there's a lot of people I believe like me who want to start over, who want to reform, who want to create a better life for them. But I think there's a gap between me and people who've been able to do it. The journey I'm on moving forward, I think I'll be constantly reforming, constantly rethinking, constantly reevaluating my approach, not just in tattooing, but in life and my hobbies, in my passions, in my pursuits. I think that that's just what this channel will be about. I mean, this channel is just going to be about me sharing what I learn and sharing my discoveries and my journey. And I'm just going to take it slow. I'm going to do the best I can to keep up with this schedule that I've created. My goal is to hopefully do these once a week, but definitely at least once a month. If you guys are interested in at all and all the other stuff that I'm going to be doing, I'm building a website right now. I'm really excited about that. I'm going to be selling a lot of my merchandise that I'm going to be creating. I've always wanted to make t-shirts, like have like my own private kind of like clothing line. In South Carolina, I can't sell merchandise in store. I can't retail. I can sell online though. So that's why I've decided to go with a print on demand. I'm using Printify for right now. Not ideal situation, but gives something that you can buy immediately. I'm working on some Flash, and then I'm going to be selling all sorts of shit on my website. So if you're interested in that, I'll be posting more about that on my socials, or you can join my email listing. I'll put the link in the description. That way you can get a heads up for the launch for the website. On my socials, I'll be posting all the just kind of tidbits, educational stuff as well. Also, when you subscribe to the newsletter, though, you'll get an invite to the Discord server. You'll get a copy of the ebook I wrote and a little wallpaper for your phone. So thank you guys so much for joining me. If you have any questions, please reach out. Tell me what you guys think about the video. If you have any suggestions for me too, I would love to hear from you. So please send me an email or just reach out in the comments, okay? Thank you guys so much. Oh my God, I'm so fucking awkward. Thank you guys so much. Till next time.